Hey guys, welcome back to Be Savage Art. I'm Bernadette Dennis, painter and printmaker, and today we're going to talk about my piece, Endangered. So Endangered is actually one of the first oil paintings that I created in my little collection. And if you got to watch the last video about my oil painting Unitatis, I kind of talked about how Unitatis was the dream and how I hoped we could get there. And Endangered was actually painted when I was kind of, exploring how I felt about where we were. When I pick my mediums to create my work, it's very methodical, and I select oil paintings when the message that I'm trying to get out or my feelings that I'm trying to get out are complicated. And oil paintings, it's such a great vehicle for complicated feelings because there could be so many layers to it and so many colors, and you can blend and create so many beautiful hues. And I feel like you can describe so much that is complicated in an oil painting. And with Endangered was very complicated for me. And the bombs dropping, which are, the painting is pretty much built around, I knew I wanted those bombs right away. With the vibe over the summer and the spring and the general overall feeling, and everybody feels it, everybody talks about it, it's all over your social media platforms, it's in the news outlets, it's in the programming we watch, it's just everywhere, and it's a general feeling of, unrest and uncertainty. And I think that we kind of get sucked into that. I know I do. I get sucked into it. I can't friggin' take my eyes away from it. And, throughout the spring and the summer especially, these protest symbols just kept popping up everywhere. In memes, in ads, in your friends and family trying to get out a message that they support. Just over and over again, I was seeing protest symbolism, and I wanted to basically create a small series of work that featured protest symbolism. And the bombs dropping, to me, they can mean so many things to other people, but to me, I kind of feel like we're on the verge of something, and it could be great or it could be horrible. Like, I don't think we really know like where it's going to end up. But when I was creating the color palette that I wanted, I knew I wanted an urban feel to it and an urban landscape of color. And the grays and the browns, to me they're kind of warm colors because, some people don't think of concrete and steel as particularly warm, but to me, the city in particular has a very special place in my heart. And Philadelphia in particular, I spent most of my adult life in that area and in the city. And many of the most important things that happened in my adult life happened, in Philadelphia. Those tones are really inspired by my time there. And what I've seen with a lot of the, unrest and a lot of the, people that are trying to have their voices heard, especially in large groups, you're seeing that mostly in major cities. So when I was painting Endangered, I created these these urban vibes in it with my colors, and those bombs dropping, the more I layered on the paint and the more I built, you know, my values and my shapes, it started to kind of come together like it looked like buildings to me at the bottom. And it kind of, those buildings represent so much to me. They represent, you know, our neighbors, our friends, love, brotherhood. Those bombs, they're falling on all of it. In my head, that's how I felt at that time when I was painting that piece. That's how I was feeling at the time. I just felt like I was in this really dark place. And that's kind of what's coming across in this painting. It was my dark place. And the painting that we discussed in my last video, Unitatis, that's like where I'm trying to get to, you know, from that dark place. And in Endangered, you know, I started building in the brighter colors, like the oranges and the pinks and the reds, the bright reds. And, you know, I was trying to kind of plant my little symbols in there. You know, you'll see the @signs representing social media's role in it. It plays a role. It definitely plays a part. And we also play a part. You know, you're going to take that information and you're going to react to it in one way or another. And independent thought, those words just kind of came out. Like as I was painting and as I was making it, after I saw the bombs and, you know, the surrounding images, independent thought kind of came to mind. And it just, to me, it feels like that's one of the things that's endangered, because I guess we're so quick to make decisions based on what we see that I don't really think that we as individuals are taking a lot of time to really explore how we feel. And I don't think that we're taking a lot of time to explore how our neighbors and our friends think, like what makes them decide to support one thing over another. And I'm not, you know, targeting anything specific. I'm speaking in really general terms because there's just so much out there that's debated, and really it's too much for me to wrap my head around. And that's kind of why I make these pieces, because it's my way of dealing with all of the information that is being thrown at me all day long. That's how I work through it. And it's actually like a pretty good therapy for me because, you know, when I get to the end, I know where I want to go next. And Unitatis, the painting that we talked about before, when I was finished painting Endangered, I knew where I wanted to go next. And that's why it's such a great vehicle to get me from one place to another. I like to put a lot of symbolism and text in my work because to me, sometimes my thoughts ramble and sometimes it's hard for me to kind of get from one point to the next. So text and symbolism is definitely an important part of my work. And you'll see like the little recycling symbol in this piece. And I just kind of think that a lot of what we think and a lot of what, you know, we're taught, I think a lot of it is just like recycled. I mean, I read this article from the 1960s and it was complaining about the generation of young people and their, you know, crazy liberal values or whatever. And I think it was like in Life magazine, like those old Life magazines. And it could have been an article totally written, you know, last week. I just feel like so much of this is just history repeating itself. And Endangered to me is, you know, how do you break the cycle? What crisis is it going to take for us to reset ourselves and really work together with the people in our communities and in our neighborhoods. I really believe that it begins with the individual, and it can grow to a collective, but I think it really, really needs to start with the individual. I really believe that the best way to live is to lead by example. And I believe that if you're a good person, which most people are, I mean, I think like by default, human nature, I think that we're essentially good. And I think that if we really take the time to try to set a good example to our friends and our family by being kind to one another and being fair to one another, whether it's, you know, job related or social, or, you know, I think that fairness and kindness are the two biggest things that you can, you know, show others around you that side of you. And I really believe that if you exercise those values, it inspires the people around you to behave the same way. And, you know, that's how it spreads. That's how good things happen. That's how equality will happen. That's how, you know, the society that I think that we all want to live in, I think the world that we all want to inhabit, I think that it's possible. You know, I'm always hopeful. I guess I'm a dreamer that way, but I'm always hopeful that we could get there if we just kind of take the time to maybe step back from our phones and our technology and just, you know, kind of connect with one another like we really haven't in the last, like, you know, 10, 20 years. So thank you guys for watching this video on my oil painting Endangered, and you can totally click the links in the description if you want to get more information on that piece and some of my other work that's right now it's at Artworks in Virginia. And we have 2 more oil paintings that we're gonna talk about, and the next one is Ataraxia. We're gonna save Dystopia for last. It's kind of my favorite one, and it's a culmination of the entire mess that was inside my head when I was creating these pieces. So I hope everybody's doing great, man, and you know, just keep on keeping on.